Welcome to a series called The End of Times, where we're going through the book of Revelation, verse by verse, to see what it is we can expect to happen in the end times. And as we've gone through this incredible book, we've reached the place where heaven and earth have been decreated, and the new heaven and the new earth, the new Jerusalem has come. That place that Jesus told us he was preparing for us is finally here. And, we're on episode 190-something, and every single episode I've filmed inside for the most part. And just as soon as we got to the point where heaven and earth were void, and there was this new thing that I just felt like God called me to come outside and film it by a lake. And there's a lake in there. I have a better view of the lake than you do, but there is one back there. So anyhow, we've been talking about the foundations and for a while. Gosh, there's 12 foundations, and every single one of them has meaning. So it's important we don't blast through that we take the time and look at every piece of that foundation and every piece of that, what John sees, this new Jerusalem, and understanding it looks a certain way for reasons. God doesn't do anything just because. So anyhow, we're just going to pick it up there. We're on the 9th one, Revelation 21, starting in verse 19. And the foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with all kinds of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the first chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz. Now, I've said this in a few other episodes, but studying out precious gems in the Bible it's frustrating because you'll see things all over the place that just aren't what they are. Oftentimes when interpreters don't know what the thing is, they call it a ruby, like it was some kind of a precious stone. So we'll just call it a ruby. And the last three, chrysolite, beryl, and topaz, are all yellowish green things. And they're all kind of in the same area. Like oftentimes where one Bible says beryl, another one will say chrysolite, another one will say topaz. So you have to be very careful of those three specifically because they're all three yellowish green stones. So just be cautious, and I'm going to kind of point towards how we know we're talking about topaz as we go through this. Well, let's start with, you don't see topaz in a lot of places in the Bible. If one place is Ezekiel in the description of Satan, topaz is there, and it's accurately there. So you can get that Old Testament Hebrew word there and go, okay, well, where else do we see this word? And that word is pitda. And pitda is only really seen, it's in Exodus twice in the breastplate of the high priest. And then the only other place is in Job. And as I kind of just kept digging in these different places, I was really drawn to Job and what's going on in that moment that Job is, because, you look at the breastplate, it has meaning. It's representation of the 12 tribes of Israel. 12 of many different things. So, but it's 12 things. It's hard to kind of say, well, what is that one thing? So I don't really typically go to the breastplate to kind of get interpretation, but if you look at where it is at in Job 28:19, the topaz of Ethiopia, the pitda of Cush is actually what it says. I don't even know, Cush is not necessarily Ethiopia. That's a bad interpretation. The pitba of Cush, the topaz of Cush, cannot equal it, nor can it be valued in pure gold. From where then does wisdom come? And where is the place of understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all living and concealed from the birds of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard a report about it with our ears. God understands its way, and he knows its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth and sees under the whole heavens, to establish the weight for the wind and the meat for the waters by measure. When he made a law for the rain and the path of the thunderbolt, then he saw wisdom and declared it. He prepared it, indeed, he searched it out. And to man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. I got goosebumps reading that, because Proverbs says the beginning of knowledge is the fear of the Lord. And here what they're saying, this is the value, like topaz of Cush. Like this is like that beautiful thing. You're familiar with that topaz of Cush. It is valued less than this thing, this wisdom of the knowledge that God has, this wisdom, and he's concealed it. Here's the thing. He has concealed it. From where does wisdom come, and where is its place of understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all living and concealed from the birds of the air. Destruction and death. So even destruction and death say, we have heard a report about it with our ears. God understands its way, and he knows its place. But nobody else, nothing living knows of this wisdom that God has, except for you and I can have it. And that's the most incredible thing about all this. But it begins with the fear of the Lord. If you don't have that, you can't have any of that stuff. Death and destruction say, we have heard a report about it with our ears. God understands its way, and he knows its place, for he looks to the ends of the earth and sees under the whole heavens, and to establish a weight for the wind and to mete out the waters by measure, when he made a law for the rain and a path for the thunderbolt. Then he saw wisdom and declared it. He prepared it. Indeed, he searched it out. And to man, so this is to me and you. Now pause here for a second, because this is unknown to the entire universe. But to man, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. And depart from evil is understanding. So this topaz foundation represents the wisdom and the knowledge of the fear of the Lord. That's how we are even in that holy place in the first place, is we were the few who were able to say, wait a second, there is a God, and his ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And I fear him as an omnipotent, everlasting God who created everything, including me. And he could snuff out my life in a millisecond. But thank God he loves and adores me and calls me his son. That's what this foundation represents. But the beginning of the knowledge is the fear of the Lord. The foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with all kinds of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, and the third chalcedony. The fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the fifth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, and the ninth topaz. There it says topazion in the Old Testament, pitda. It's the wisdom of God, and it begins with the fear of the Lord. Any thoughts or insight on any of that, definitely put that below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.